And we are live on the Red Pill News coming at you from the universe. just try, just try to find me. I am here, I am there, I am everywhere you want to be. Probably not. But I'll say this to you. I'm not on a highway blocked by a truck right now, at least, But I fear that this protest in Canada, where the truck drivers are blocking the roads, is going to pour over here into the United States. Canadians are some of the most passive people you'll ever meet in your life. They're not really the types that stand up for themselves. Only a handful. A lot of them are very stealthy, though, about it. And that's the kind of people safe bastion is, oh, this happens here in America. I can't handle it anymore. Ooh, I'm going to go to Canada and be free. And I always laugh in their faces when I hear that. Canada free? What Canada are you talking about? Ain't the one that I know. So you got the truck drivers that's pouring over into Michigan. At some point, you know that the anti-vaxxer crowd out there, the people who really have an attitude about things right now, are going to climb into their trucks because they own them, and they're going to go to these interstates and they're going to block things off. They're going to shut things down. So now's the time to buy toilet paper. If you ever needed a time to buy supplies, there's the trucks that bring it to you. That's it. Without those trucks, your supermarket, your pharmacy, anything and anything, it will not be supplied, and you will not have the things that you need. Just like in New York City, you have all the people stealing everything from these places. There'll be nothing left to steal. you know, they got people walking into supermarkets, walking out with 10 steaks, walking down the street. Things are out of control. Lawlessness is out of control. The leader of Canada left Canada because of the threats on to him. This dude, I even said, I have COVID-19, and then he ran into hiding. Now he's apparently in New York, hiding out. That's intense. Just kind of say that out loud. The leader of Canada was forced to leave, or scared enough where he had to leave. I would have stood right up to those truck drivers, man. And you got to speak their language. Good buddy. Good buddy. I understand your frustrations, but you have to be 10-10 on the side. You know what I mean? I pull out my CB language from back in the day. You know what? That's as good a language as Pig Latin. If you know Pig Latin, you can get by in a lot of countries. Same for CB language. Yeah? Talking about a smoky and a plain white rapper. Good. That's right. Not the same kind of rapper that we know as a rapper these days, but yes. I know those, especially up in Canada, the Moose Patrol, whatever, right? The Canadian Mounted. I get it. Anything I know about the Canadian Mounties is from Bullwinkle, basically. The Bullwinkle copy. That's where I get my information from. Now you know the truth. Bullwinkle. It was a very smart show. So, yeah, it's going to pour over. What do you think would happen if these trucks go down to the major interstate interchanges like in Indiana, where the only reason why you have to drive through Indiana is because you have to drive through Indiana. It is not a state that people would ever normally travel to unless they knew someone there, they had friends, or they lived there, they need to go home. Whatever. That's Indiana. I'm not saying you can't get some nice driving, it's some beautiful country, cornfields and things like that. But what I'm saying to you is the routes around like George Washington Bridge, between New Jersey and New York City, you 5, 6, 7 trucks will shut that down, and that's it. It's done. I mean, traffic is done. So, it'll back up miles and miles and miles and cause an unbelievable issue. There's places that they can do this that are important for commerce, important for travel. So yeah. I think that we're going to see this in the next week or two. It'll start in a few days here. It's already started, really, and they're trying not to talk about it in the news because they know that they'll fan the flames. Except for Fox. Fox is happily talking about this. They want to see this type of stuff because that's that whole they push themselves as being the blue collar worker, safe zone, but yet they're not. Yet they're not. They're all just a bunch of weasels on there, and you can't say that they aren't. And all of them, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, weasels, a bunch of weasels that are happy to use you, and then they go back to their mansion at night and they go to sleep and they smile because they know they're going to get some kind of an award. And that's really the exploitation of mankind. That's what the news has become. Exploitation of mankind, not the news. Oh, this is what happened. It's all opinion-based, driven tripe, right? So in that tripe, oh man, you're going to see some stuff. And man, it's already gotten violent. This is a terrible time of year for suicides as it is. There's people, killing themselves, killing their kids, killing themselves, going into stores, shooting places up and whatever. It's, oh my God. People driving down the highway getting shot. On Long Island, this kid was driving, got shot up. They don't even know why or what. So yeah, some of these are intended. Some of these are a situation where they're random, and it's people's anger that's gone out of control, and that this government has given people the green light, people of the lowest level mentality, the green light to go out and commit crimes. And they lit a fire they are not going to be able to put out. It's not going to be able to put this fire out until it's burned out, and you pick up the pieces afterwards. So already in New York City, they want to have some kind of control over these mass stealings. Even Al Sharpton is talking about, oh, he can't get his toothpaste now because they stole everything and whatever. Al Sharpton usually says great things about those guys because that's his base. His base is the ones who's in there stealing. That's his base. If you know anything about him, that's his base. But same people on his own side saying, oh, no, we have to let them steal. Oh, no, no, no. We're against mass incarceration, and it's just crazy to say, well, we don't want to put a lot of people in jail, so we're going to let them commit the crimes. You have a DA in New York City who's already admitting that Harlem is out of control, that stores are closing, Rite Aids are closing, other stores, boutiques, all that, upper level, lower level, all kinds of things. People walking in there stealing what they want and walking out. How are you going to stay in business like that? Oh, nice restaurant, huh? You got 50, 60 customers in there. Here comes a gang of 40 people with weapons. They're going to rob everybody and take all their stuff and leave. Who the hell wants to deal with that? So you learn really quick to stay away from those places and stay away from the city. Stay away from places where this is going to just evolve into a mushroom head event, and it's going to explode. We are on the heels of it right now. And there's not one person out there that's going to be able to put a stop to it because this is what they've all wrought. This is the political tripe, the political rhetoric, the political attacks, cutting people apart, using funding to go defund the police and whatever, and take this money to go fight this and whatever. Defund the police, really? Yeah, it's the cops who are the problems, right? They're the problems. Come on, man. So whatever. Here you go. New York City thieves swarm upscale boutique. So you think to yourself, okay, it's a boutique, and they can afford it because they've got insurance. I'll tell you about insurance. Insurance only works a little bit for a little while. Once you start getting hit over and over again, the insurance company sees you as a bad risk, and then they either raise your insurance to a point where you just can't afford it, or you shut down because you have to be insured to have these places, right? Afternoon robbery, $50,000 worth of stuff. 5 robbers, 5 people swarmed a high-end Soho boutique stealing $48,300 worth of luxury goods and injuring a security guard. Injuring a dude with a job or a woman with a job, whoever it was. And what are they going to do? We're going to stop them? You don't have a weapon. You can't do that. No, you touch these people come in and steal, they'll sue you for assault. That's what happens too. So what, you just stand around? Or what is it? Do you have to have a sophisticated buzzer system with glass that you can't smash so you can allow just one person to come in at a time? Then they're going to say, oh, you're against me and my friends, and, you don't like the way we look, and you're racist. That's what happens. Is it racism? No. That has nothing to do with racism. That has to do with people stealing. It doesn't matter who. Lots of white thieves out there, too. Doesn't matter who. But what do? What did they do to stop it? Do you arm your security guards with mace? No, we can't do that. A lot of these people who are stealing have guns. They're willing to shoot you to take your stuff. They have been green lighted into this mentality where they can do whatever they want without punishment. This is what's happened with a large group, these protesters that burned down the police stations, that kind of passion, belief, and anger, and all these terrible things that come together, misguidedness. Then you have the elements out there who want to, they're actually fragmented groups of that group who just want to go and steal. And they'll steal day long. They'll steal TVs and whatever. Other people protesting, these people are stealing. And then, they don't even know what the hell the protest is about, basically. They just know that there's a lot of confusion and they're stealing. Who stops them? Who stops them? How many people can have a store that gets wiped out, right? So this heist here, 5 people walking in, stealing $50,000 worth of stuff, happened 12:30 in the afternoon at the Celine Boutique on Worcester Street. And pricey handbags retail for $1,000. You'd be ashamed of yourself even to buy a handbag worth thousands of bucks. Hey, really? I don't know, man. I'm not cut from that jib, I guess. I like good stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm no prince, and I don't need to be one. And I think that your level of what you respect and what you really like, the things that mean a lot to you, as long as you know that you have these things and you have enough of them, you're rich as it is. You know what I mean? So you always have to think that your life is the dream of somebody else that doesn't have that. Always have to think about, appreciate the things you have, right? But thousands of bucks for a handbag, you see. And as for like dating people, there, I know women that were into all that, the big bucks for everything. I mean, they spend thousands of bucks a month on stuff, and those are the people I'd levitate away from. There's more to life. Do you really need $1,000 handbag? I'd rather have the person have $100 handbag, which is a pretty nice freaking purse, and then take the 900 and give it to some worthy charity, if there is such a thing anymore. Okay. Here we go. One guard suffered an injury to his elbow and thumb during the fracas. He's probably trying to hitchhike the hell out of there. Right out of the street. Get hit by a taxi cab. The suspects fled the store with their haul and remained on the run Friday night, police said. In 2020, thieves robbed the Soho store of $1.5 million worth of goods as looters targeted luxury stores in the neighborhood and the aftermath of the George Floyd police murder. There you go. $1.5 million worth of stuff. Right? It's a lot of dough, man. Maybe I should go down there and get some stuff. You guys want some handbags? Check my handbag collection on eBay next week. Woohoo! Right? The latest incident came as brazen organized looting at luxury stores. You see, you try to pull this in the Midwest, you get your head blown off, man. That's the deal. Like, I see these stories from like the city or San Francisco, Chicago or LA, or I see these stories and I'm like, man, there's places you just can't do this. And those people are freer in those places. These guys live in fear. They live in fear. But what happens? The movie Escape from New York. I love referencing that. I hate referencing movies ever. But Escape from New York, Kurt Russell, man. Lee Van Cleef, I think, one of his last roles. Kurt Russell got to go in. They make New York City as a prison. They put walls around the parts that people can get out. It's an island, and they block off the tunnels and bridges and the whole bit. And they just dump prisoners in there, and they live like animals or whatever. They live in packs of this, that, and the other thing. And the president's plane had gotten shot down, and then up in the city. Then they had to get Kurt Russell because he was the only badass that was around that could go in there and get his stuff. That's the city. That's almost the city now. At some point, they're going to have to do that. Just shut it down. Escape from LA was when California had some major earthquake cataclysm, and then it turned the whole thing into islands, and they made all that a jail. so yeah. Let's see. Smash and grab robberies were especially prevalent in California, where a gang of hammer-wielding thugs terrorized a San Jose jewelry store last month in stealing more than $100,000 worth of merchandise. This is unbelievably serious, and they don't act like it. If you look at the mainstream media, man, they don't want to talk about this stuff. They want to talk about, just like the English. I watch a lot of English news, and the only thing now they can really talk about is a Christmas party that happened over a year ago with Boris Johnson. They wanted this guy to resign because he had wine and cheese with 3 people, whatever that was. This is the same dumb stuff. And I'll tell you, it's the same energy that is going after that. Energy that went after Trump. Granted, Trump is Trump. I don't like him. Not a lot of people could probably even say they like him, How did he run the country? You see the ramifications of that. But you had a party, and you had a party pushing people into fighting every step of the way, no matter what, So the guy had a lot of accomplishments. You can't say that about a lot of other presidents. Is he a mess? Yeah, he's a mess, Now they're saying he flushed stuff down the toilet. Important documents, and he left with all these documents. Hillary and Bill Clinton, when they left the White House, had taken a large amount of furniture, paintings, all kinds, millions of bucks worth of stuff. And their answer was, after they got caught, that they thought they were allowed to take some mementos. Trump, on the other hand, wanted to get rid of all the paperwork. And seems weird to me. He's a billionaire and he doesn't have a shredder. You know what I mean? $50 for a shredder. So whatever, man. He messes himself up. I don't like even hearing the guy. I know this is what's going to happen. He's going to run again. And it's going to be him and probably the dude from Florida, Death Santos. It is going to be a war. You've got entities that are just going to be battling it out. Oh man, Joe Biden said he's not going to run again. He's done and whatever. He was done before he started. He was done 50 years ago when he started. He was done. Now Hillary's talking about running again. Trump and Hillary? Oh my God. So we got ringside seats to the apocalypse of politics. We're going to be able to report on it and watch it every step of the way. This is my Super Bowl. People have their Super Bowl party. They got their Super Bowl needs and then whatever. I don't care about your stupid sport. This is my sport. It's real life, And these politicians are lying, cheating, thief bastards. And then what do? They just sit there and attack each other. You don't know who's telling the truth whenever. Oh man, you don't know about anything. Because one side says this, the other side says the other side is lying. The other side, they're saying they're lying. Ugh. Yeah. So yeah. While these jewelry stores getting hit right before, Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day coming up in a few days. Hope you guys are ready, strapped in. strapped in for the ride of a lifetime. Your Valentine hell. You know, I think Valentine is a misguided, and men deserve stuff too, man. You know, women kind of act like, "Ooh, give me, give me, give me," and then they get the guy some like little $1 box of chocolate. You know what I mean? So how about just it shouldn't be about that at all. I think it's disgusting, actually, the whole bit of it. You know, just the commercials and how they sell it to people. You know, if you really loved her, you'd give her a diamond. Really? You know, I'll tell you about women. I know a lot about women because I know a lot of women. That's why I don't date anymore. Because I'm afraid. I'm scared to death. I have PTSD. I'm scared to death. But you give somebody a gift worth thousands of dollars, it's a very weird concept in people's minds, you know, and they think that, you know, why did you give this to me? You're trying to buy me, you know, is that what I'm worth and whatever? I'll tell you, it's a psychological messed up thing. Then they go hang out with their friends and their friends get to see that jewelry. Ooh, look at that. Where'd you get that from? Oh, man, you know, of course. Oh, my God. Oh, and then they get jealous and they get pissed and they get the attitude because their guy just gave him a free crack pipe from the U.S. government, you know, and said, here, honey, a free crack pipe from the United States government. I got some government cheese too, and some of that government bread. Let's have some fun. Have some fun in the sun. Yeah, you see the whole crack pipe distribution thing funded by Homeland Security or Homeland HHS, whatever the hell that is. Prioritizing undeserved communities. So, all right. So if you give a gift, it should be from your heart and do something. One of the nicest gifts I've ever gotten. Let's just say it. I'm not going to talk about the worst, and I'm single right now, as you can imagine. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking this crap, you know. So, and it's as simple as that. Every guy out there knows that, man. So it comes down to this: best gift I ever received, right? Was was this woman I was with. She went around her property. She had this big property, and she was picking flowers from all over, from beautiful flowers, all these cool things, man. You know, that wasn't that time. That was for my birthday. There's no flowers in February, upstate New York. The hell is I think about? Oh yeah, that was the best Valentine's. It was had to do with fishnet stockings and some goddamn good champagne. That was the best one. I changed my story, y'all. Change it. Had some good food. Americana Vineyard. Oh, I remember that. Went to Americana, the cafe there. Oh, that was a good night. That was a good day and good night. So anyway, yeah. So let's get back to free crack pipes from the United States government because you see this. It's actually called the Hunter Biden program, and the Health and Human Services Department is rolling out a $30 million grant program that will fund the distribution of items like crack pipes for smoking illicit substances. They don't mention anything else but crack pipes. The Washington Free Beacon initially reported on the program, noting that the department would prioritize applicants in undeserved communities as defined under one of President Biden's executive orders. An HHS spokesperson reportedly told Beacon that the grants would fund smoking kits with pipes for users to smoke crystal meth, crack cocaine, and any illicit substances. So, my question is, couldn't that money have been better spent on things that people actually need? You know, I, for one, don't want to encourage people to smoke crack or crystal meth. If you're talking about areas where that are high crime areas to begin with, giving them, why don't you just you know what? Give them the crack, give them the crack pipe, give them some guns, give them some ammo, and then that's what these guys want. This is what they always do. This is why you go into those terrible neighborhoods and there's an alcohol store in the corner right next to a gun store, right next to a pawn shop and a check cashing place, because they want to erase people from this planet. That's been the plan all along. Crack, crack pipes. Oh, come on, free crack pipes. There you go. There you go. The grant document referenced Biden's Executive Order 13985, titled Advancing Racial Equity and Support for Undeserved Communities Through the Federal Government. So he thinks that this is going to advance racial equity, giving people free crack pipes. You know, isn't I know a lot of white crackheads too. You know what I mean? And a lot of all kinds of crackheads. If you're in a neighborhood that sells crack, it's all kinds of people, and it's mainly people coming in from other places to buy it. From neighborhoods that don't have that kind of stuff and crime. They go a few miles, they drive through, they get their crack. Oh man, you see the destruction, you see the dismantling of people. If anyone out there knows what I'm talking about, you know that people cannot live and smoke crack. They cannot function and smoke crack. The only thing that they can do is smoke crack and lie and cheat and steal and do whatever they can do, even selling themselves for a few bucks so they can get high again. If this is what the government is putting out as advancing racial equity, oh my God. Oh my God. Talk about complete destruction. You know, advancing racial equity, giving out free crack pipes. So, okay, I'll tell you this. I hung out there in Far Rockaway. I talked about it last week. A lot of experiences I have come from there because this was like the level of humanity that most people don't get to see. And this is the most at-risk suffered people in our society. And then if nobody gets to see or understand what goes on there, nothing will ever get fixed. Right? But yeah, those people will sell crack. And when I say those people, I mean people who live in those neighborhoods to make a few bucks. There were the guys on the block, the ones selling the crack. Two of them were white dudes, and then there was a girl that sold dope, heroin. She was always around. And then other people. I mean, but the crack business that was driven at that time by these Jamaican dudes, and they had different spots. That street was just a spot to them. They had different spots through Queens and Brooklyn, close by, and they controlled those spots with guns, with shootings, with things like that. That's the business. So you go to these streets and you buy the crack. I'll tell you, the ones coming to the streets were the ones who were from a few towns over. They'd come with a nice car, looking healthy, healthy-ish, nice jewelry, good attitude. Within a week or two, they're driving some other type of car, some old crap box, because they sold their car for the money so they can buy crack. They were not wearing nice clothes anymore, or they're starting to sell their jewelry on the third, fourth week. They're looking to sell it just for a few, what they were calling jigs of crack. These little vials of crack. These guys would sell whatever. And you'd see them dismantled. You say to yourself, this is evil. If you've ever seen evil and looked right in his face, that's evil. There's this girl, Crystal, right? Walking around, all pregnant. Local prostitute, crackhead, and she had gotten pregnant and showing big belly, right? And one night I was hanging out with this dude, Godfrey. These were the good guys on the block. These were, the ones everybody called his wife Mom, and her, it was real. I wrote poems because of that place, and it's very interesting, that level, and yet the world out there doesn't understand why there's problems. These politicians, whenever I hear them talk, I have real, true experiences in a place that I saw people get dismantled because of things like that. And I lived in another neighborhood. I got to drive out of there. I got to do something that people lived there didn't get to do. They had to live in that neighborhood with the gunshots and all the stuff going off, As a writer, for me, it was gathering a lot of experience. I made some great friends there, and that's why I kept going back, because my friends that were there, you know? So, but you watch it happen. So one night, Godfrey and I, it's like summertime, I hear this baby crying, and it sounded like it was close by. And I'm like, Godfrey, everybody called him Poopa, right? And it was like, because I was like Grand Poopa of the block, and I was like, Godfrey, Poopa, you hear that baby crying? And he's like, it's from the apartment building, man, you know. Yeah, man, it's from the apartment building. I'm the baby, crying. I'm like, no, man, it's a lot closer than out there, so then I kind of wanted to investigate, man. I got off. We were sitting outside. I walked across the street. I went into this big vacant lot that was there at the time. And then it got closer and closer. I'm hearing this baby crying louder and louder. Don't you know there's a baby laying there on the ground, glass and dog shit around there, and just all the stuff. And you're watching it happen in front of you, the things that shouldn't be happening, the help that people should be getting, and of course it belonged to that girl, and then people saw her afterwards and she wasn't pregnant anymore. She sat there and had the baby in that horrible place, and cut the umbilical cord and left it for dead. And this is not how normal people even act. It's people who have been bitten by this evil, you know, and that's what it is. And you can't sit there and say it's okay. And we're gonna advance racial equity by giving you free crack pipes for your community. It's the kiss of death. The kiss of death. So when I think of these things, when I see these things, it makes me think back to those times and those people who are mainly all dead by now. You know, I keep in touch with some friends there still. They don't live in that block anymore, and but they still sell drugs out there. They still sell crack out there. Just different groups. The one guy who was in charge of the group died of a massive aneurysm while he was shaving. I remember when it happened. He was in his early 40s. Went to the block, and his name was Puggy. They said, "Do you hear about Puggy?" When they say that to you, the person's dead. You know, and that was that for that. And that business petered out because he was the driving force behind it. But I'll tell you, there's an underworld that the police, that the government doesn't understand. The police come around, they treat people there like they're idiots. The way they talk to them, the way they act. They don't act like people are equals. When you deal with them, you get this real hardcore sense of smuggery. They're so smug, and they elevate themselves. So one night, they came down, they ride two cops to a car, you know, and we're all kind of sitting on the stoop, and there's a bunch of people around, and I'm facing these guys. I'm like on the sidewalk facing them, but everybody else is kind of facing out. So the cop turns on the bright light on the side, which basically illuminates everything. It's like zunk with white light. So then I started hearing the cop say, "Hey," like, and I'm not turning around. Look at these guys. They're like, "Hey, you." So I'm still looking at these dudes, and then they're starting to laugh, and then the cop's like, "Hey, you, white guy." And I still didn't turn around. At that point, man, I was like starting to laugh, you know. And then the guy shut the light off and he drove away. He didn't get to have the conversation with, "Hey, you white guy." So the cops have no respect for the people that live in those neighborhoods. And it's a two-way street. But most of those people who live in those neighborhoods are just regular old people trying to live. Yeah, you have a large amount of criminals running around because they don't do anything with them. They lock them up and they put them back out again. If they commit a crime in those neighborhoods, they don't get a lot of time. They just go in, they go out. There was guys with gun charges and all that going in and going out. And you're saying, why is that so? You know, sure, if you want to destroy the community, certainly, soak it with a bunch of criminals. In any other community, these people would be getting locked up for a long time when they committing crimes. So get your free crack pipes so you can push racial equity, right? The order defines equity as the consistent and systematic should be fair, just, and impartial treatment of all individuals, including individuals who belong to underdeserved communities that have been denied such treatment, such as Black and Latino and Indigenous and Native American persons, Asian Americans, Pacific Islanders, and other persons of color, members of religious minorities, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer persons with disabilities, persons who live in rural areas, and persons otherwise adversely affected by persistent poverty or inequality. They left me out, and I feel that they're racist and they're bigoted against me, man. Well, I do live in a rural area, kind of, sort of, and all these people can get free crack pipes. Just get in line. They want you all to be able to smoke your crack and have not have to pay as much for crack pipes, I guess. And then people ask, so how does this achieve racial equality? And then that's the whole thing. Then they do the Texas sidestep. You know, gonna do it, a little sidestep. Now you see me, now you don't. That's the politician's thing. I have heard you and I understand. I'm going to get to work on that right away. So you have the Olympics going on. You got a lot of people crying because of it. I watched videos that are very humorous to me because I don't know what I am, slayer. I was like, I get stuck in, that's my job description these days in my mind is just, that's where I am. I'm a slayer. I don't know whether that's a job title or a job kind of what they say your attributes are or the function. I don't know what it is. All right, I'm not a slayer, but it comes down to China, and I'm watching videos. First they had the Russian people on there. This lady, a lot of women in the Olympics. It must be like female Olympics. I don't follow it. I just follow the aftermath in the news when I like to laugh at these things. Or cry. And it shouldn't. All these people should be ashamed of themselves for going to China and participating in a farce Olympics when China is guilty of so many human rights abuses, releasing COVID-19 around the world, and killing millions of people. How many are selling people's organs out of their bodies and killing them. I don't know how much more do you need of what China does, and they're openly cheating. Of course, they're putting drugs inside of the food they're feeding these people so they can say they're doping. Of course, they're disqualifying people so their people win, so they can win the gold. And they've done this time and time again. It's like watching that movie Meatballs, and they have the rich kids camp versus the normal person's camp, and the rich people were cheating out in the open, doing whatever they wanted to do, while the other camp had to kind of play it right until they couldn't anymore. So I laugh in the face of all these people who participate. You're crying in China. You don't like the conditions. The ice is weird, and the snow was weird because they had to manufacture it. And God only knows what the hell's in there. Soylent Green, most likely. And they're just laying everybody to waste with all this stuff. So then you have this Zhu Yi, U.S.-born Chinese Olympic figure skater slated in China after falls. So she gave up her citizenship to go join China to be in the Olympics to represent China. Figure skater Zhu Yi has faced increasing criticism on Chinese social media after falling several times during her Olympic team event skates. The debut of the U.S.-born athlete on Sunday saw her fail to land jumps, pushing Team China out of the medals. The second performance on Monday, which where she fell twice, earned more criticism. Now, because of this, the Chinese government is gonna like torture her family. They'll probably send her father is some scientist, American scientist, by the way. So they probably made a deal with that, and they're gonna end up taking that dude and putting him some place, some place that's not 5 star. I'm watching them cry about the meals they were served. Just Russian chicks like, "Shishwan, they expect me to eat, and they feed me this morning, noon, and night." And I'm looking at it like, man, that looks a lot better than the school lunch I used to get back in the day. And that was a nice town on Long Island. Imagine that. And Friday was pizza day. You get a chunk of government cheese in that pizza. Oh man, get some chocolate chip cookies too. 25 cents a pack. They had some stuff there. And this looked better than that. So yeah, there you go. So now her performance was called shameful and embarrassing, and by some it said with personal attacks made on her background and her poor grasp of Mandarin. The criticism also appeared to be linked to discontent that the skater who was raised in the U.S. was allegedly chosen for the team event over Chinese born skaters. You get what you pay for. American kids are lazy, man. Did you actually think that you're going to get an American Olympian and they're going to be any kind of decent? I'm not knocking American Olympians. I'm knocking the privileged few. And I know a dude who sent his kid to an Olympic school and whatever. They're very wealthy people. This is mainly the people that do this, and they train their whole life for these events. And then if you focus all your stuff on one kind of a thing, that's great. And then afterwards, they become some gym teacher somewhere talking about when they once was, or they didn't win the gold, or whatever, or it was political. Serves you right to be in a country that participates in hurting and murdering people and making people suffer. Animals too. Serves you right for everything you receive in those places. So I'll say that. Many questioned why the 19-year-old had been chosen and made groundless claims that Miss Zhu had been favored because her father is a prominent scientist. Let's see. It trended on Weibo before it was later taken down because there were so many. The vicious level of attack led to Weibo deleting hundreds of posts and suspending accounts. Zhu, who gave up her U.S. citizenship to join Team China in 2018, had appeared visibly tense on the ice even before she fell on an early jump, crashing into a wall. After her performance on Sunday, she said that she felt upset and embarrassed. Yeah, I would too. You know what? That's your moment. Glad that she wasn't skating for us. And by the way, for all you people out there about the bad food, I see all the pictures being circulated on Facebook saying, "Oh, look at the food! Look at the food they made our Olympian athletes eat." Our Olympian athletes from the U.S. brought their own food and water. So yeah, you don't actually think that they were going to go there and not bring their own food and water to a place like China, really? So I guess I felt a lot of pressure because I know everyone in China was pretty surprised with the selection of ladies singles, and I just wanted to really show them that I was able to do it. But unfortunately, I didn't. There you go. Hey, at least she out there. At least she tried. She tried. You know. On Monday, the criticism erupted again after Zhu, looking for redemption, fell on consecutive jumps and struggled through the rest of the routine. Holding back tears on ice, she sobbed openly after the finish. Poor little traitor. you know? And now they're gonna lock her away. She's gonna be working in a factory for the rest, some soap factory for the rest of her life now. That's China. Or they're gonna say, go back to the US. Go back to the US. We don't need to go back. Get out. You stink. All right. I try to have some empathy for people, but not if they perform in China. What they do is incredible. on how they hurt people and what they have done, and not taking any responsibility for a lot of the terrible things that they have done. So anyway, let's end on a good note. Do I got a good note? I see they're going after Dave Chappelle in the town he lives in. He's going to invest all his money, and they want to have affordable housing. So liberal media, of course, they hate him because of his transvestite comments. They go after him now any chance they get, and they're like, Dave Chappelle stood in the way of affordable housing for all because he didn't want it there, and he was going to pull his investment. These houses were $300,000 a piece, so. The 180 something they were going to build in the area that they didn't want to build in, trying to keep it a small town mentality. I don't blame the guy. So, but they try to vilify Dave Chappelle any chance they get. I support you, man. I support you, man. I don't support that other guy, Joe Rogan. I don't like him. I actually don't like him at all. There's nothing likable about the guy. He's not something that I would even spend a minute listening to. So anyway, one more. All right. We got a couple minutes. Paulina Porkovia. You know I love talking about her. I don't even know who she is. She's some model of once when and not anymore. So because she's been out there wearing thongs, I've been talking about her because the whole thing just seems so ridiculous to me. And feminists should be alarmed at people like this because they're defining themselves just basically in the way they look, and still trying to act like they're 20 years old, and they're not, and you have to age gracefully. You don't have to be, you can be sexy at any age, basically, if someone likes that sort of thing. What this woman expects is something different. The picture I'm looking at right now, if I'm going to be completely honest and try to put an age on her, I'm looking at somebody, I would say she's 64, 65 years old from this picture, right? And all those miles, she's only in her 50s, so she's 56. All those miles come from the life that you lead, the cigarettes you smoke, the alcohol that you drink. It's all that lifestyle. So let's do this, man. All right. So Paulina Porskova responds to a rude comment saying she should start living a life for others, not just herself, with a nude photo. She responded with a nude photo. After a lifetime spent taking care of others, I finally get to do me, the 56-year-old supermodel wrote. An older woman is allowed wisdom, humor, patience, but not sensuality. I'm finally fully inhabiting this body of mine. Polina Portskova is done with comments about how women of her age should behave. The 56-year-old supermodel, well, she's not a supermodel anymore. 56-year-old former supermodel, a longtime critic of anti-aging culture, took an unusual approach to call out one of the commenters disrespectful last week. It all started on November 17th when Porskova, November, all the way back, had a screenshot of a rude comment, and she put herself out there in lingerie and whatever. And then the person that said you focus way too much on yourself and your looks, the comments wrote, at your age you should be bathing in the love of your kids and your grandkids instead of traveling all over the world, parading around half naked and acting like a 16-year-old. Move near your kids and grandkids, settle down, get a nice house, make it welcome for your kids and grandkids, and start living life. It's interesting that the person's talking like that. It sounds like somebody who knows her, doesn't it? That whole targeted your kids, your grandkids, and whatever. Sounds like someone on the inside. So, all right. So this is the reason why the comments. So she went out there to get naked, and she wanted to have some fun. The following day, the supermodel posted a nude photo on Instagram, clapping back at the commenters' opinion. Yesterday's comment, the mother of two wrote, it's important insofar as to highlight the still common belief that women are all essentially chattel, that once we have stopped breeding, we should retire to provide. That's not it at all. I'm 56, living my best life after a lifetime spent taking care of others, and that's not it either. People said that you didn't. Finally, I get to do me. The ones who always say that are always about themselves, aren't they? Finally, I get to do me. Sure, I can knit and bake and bask in the warm glow of my family on the rare occasion they need me. but I can bask in the glow of a tropical sun and lover's arms. And here's a fabulous light. All right. So she puts this picture of herself, which is highly produced. Like the picture I just saw of her face is nothing like this. This picture was photoshopped. It was done by a professional photographer with professional lighting, done with a screen behind her. And here she is naked. Yeah, she looks great. She looks fine. She's 56 years old. She has a good body. Does she look like she's 19? No. Does she look like she's 35? No. Does she look like she's 45? No. And you don't have to either. So that's all I'm saying is that people should put the value in what they really are at the inside, what you are inside, and let that shine. You're going to go out there and take your clothes off because you're answering some person who commented on you. That's really a very interesting and very weird way of looking at things. So, whatever. There's a lot of people out there like that. Avoid those people. Rick Ocasek, I guess, was married to her and whatever. She had that kind of life. I will see you guys next week on the Red Pill News. Look out. We're going to be doing more Red Pill News during the week, and we're going to be advertising them here and there. So look out for your Red Pill News more than just Thursday. I will see you guys next week on this show. Bye.